So I wonder sometimes, and frankly worry, if those of us who have the most to worry about when it comes to the commandment to not take the Lord's name in vain are not those who swear and curse all the time, but rather those of us who are so publicly pious, and I dare say preachy, that we're always got something to say about God. God this, God that. And so if you, as well as me, seem inclined to use this G word in a quick and easy way, I invite you to join me in tapping the brakes and to just check in honestly about what it is we really mean when we use that word and why. It doesn't matter which word you use, and we've got a lot of them across humankind. Whether it's the traditional God or Lord, or something more expansive in English like the divine, or the Holy One, or the sacred, or eternal spirit. It doesn't matter which language you use or tradition you're from. I mean, Allah, Baha, Adonai, El Shaddai, Hashem, or Brahman, Tao, Ahura Mazda, Kashila Monkok, Wakantanka, Wakura Masuro. This was fun. It was fun research. There are lots of different words for God throughout all of the continents and all of the languages. And the reality is that the reality of whatever it is we at our best try to mean with these puny little words, the actual reality to which any of these words at best gesture, that reality is beyond, it's far beyond the scope of our comprehension and our imagination. So every Sunday morning I'm like, God help me, I'm supposed to do the impossible. And that's when we are using these words at our best. And too often we use pious words to mean something that's quite a bit less than God. Something all too human. Something that may even serve our all too human cravings and needs and aspirations. And so it's good to take a step back from all this God talk and find ways to just let mystery and wonder and just awesome scope of beauty just wash over us and to ease our minds and to ease open our hearts. And that's why I think it's, good to have awesome shared experiences like going out and experiencing the eclipse. Now, all of that said, what choice have we got? We can really only approach the reality of the divine through symbols and images and through kind of felt impressions. Whatever access we have to holy transcendence is through pinholes or shadows playing on walls. At best, we see through thick lenses. And honestly, we need that, right, to keep our eyes from frying. Even the seraphim are said to cover their eyes when they orbit the center of the Godhead, chanting, "Holy, holy, holy." They have their wings over their eyes. And it's by the grace of God that we can at times sit back with our eyes closed and just bask in the warmth and the glow of divinity. So whatever it is that we know about the G word is mediated through that which is not God. This is really interesting. But the amazing thing is that we can discover that the divine is in fact present through that which is other than God. even in what we feel to be God's absence. God is so beyond our usual ways of conceptualizing the world that God is not even contained by a division between God and not God. In other words, people often like to say that God is like light, and not God is the opposite of that, like darkness. But eclipses of the light can also lead to revelations about it. And the solar eclipse scientists love it, because they're actually able to see the corona of the sun and study things that just can't be seen unless there's the moon in the way. And this last week, an Eastern Orthodox thinker who I really enjoy and recommend to you all, David Bentley Hart, wrote this about his experience of the total solar eclipse. I think he was in Indiana. The birds all at once fell silent, with the exception of one rebel cardinal somewhere among the pear blossoms. The sky was a soft, glassy blue through which a scattering of stars could be seen. The air had acquired a slight but distinct chill. I felt a peculiar serenity come over me, and even a kind of elation. I think because, for those few minutes, I felt as if I had slipped over into some other, more mysteriously beautiful, somehow timeless world. The sight of the sun swallowed up in the absolute impenetrable darkness of the moon's silhouette brought to my mind the final lines of the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching, which speak of the one source of all things as an abyss of mystery that is also a gateway into the essence of things. An abyss of mystery that can be a gateway into the essence of things. Darkness can lead to a revelation of the light, we could say, and the shadows at the heart of all things. But abysses of mystery can be pretty scary. Eclipse in Greek means abandonment. And before people understood the natural causes of eclipses meant that it would be brief. The moon would continue on its course. Some people felt that it was the sun getting swallowed up for good, or the sun abandoning the world. I've had enough of you. But this too can lead to revelation. According to, I'm not speaking from any authority here, other than like spiritual geniuses and relying on what they have to say. Simon Weil, who's a wonderful Jewish Christian thinker and mystic and humanitarian, died in Nazi-occupied France. She wrote, "One who does not have God in them cannot feel God's absence." Yeah, think about that. One who does not have God in them cannot feel God's absence. So what does that mean when we feel God's absence? If we feel God's absence. Do you know what that's like? To feel the absence of God? Or to yearn for a God who feels far, far away? Sometimes it's because of how we've turned away from God, or someone else has turned away from God in a way that's made life pretty hard for those around them. But sometimes too, there are just things that can happen in our lives, or things that can come through us where we just feel alone, very, very alone. The wisdom of our tradition is to not turn away from that feeling, that felt sense of absence, and especially from the yearning that can come from it. That yearning is a gift. That sense of absence is a gift. You could say a shadow trace of the divine reality, a God-shaped hole, some people talk about it as. And it's part of the landscape of our lives, of light and shadow and color. Knowing that all that is other than God is held in God's orbit and given life through the illumination and the warmth of God's power. So now this is not to dismiss the distress that comes if we feel absence acutely, but in fact to dignify it for what it indicates about the nature of God's presence. So eclipse experiences are central to the stories and the testimonies of our faith. During Holy Week a few weeks ago, we remembered how Jesus himself felt God's absence. At midday, a darkness fell over the whole country, lasting until 3 p.m. And at 3, Jesus cried out loudly, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me?" And those are the words from Psalm 22, which often gets eclipsed by its famous neighbor, Psalm 23. But Psalm 22, my God, these ancient words of Jesus' people, why have you abandoned me? A cry of abandonment, of eclipse. And yet, even in the peak of that darkness, in the depth of that abyss, the corona flares. At Easter, the stone of the tomb rolls away. It's like the shadow of the moon moving past the sun. If we know what's really going on, we know that the darkness will continue its trajectory and reveal light that's reborn yet again. Simone Weil also wrote that God continually showers the fullness of God's grace on every being in the universe, continuously. But we consent to a greater or lesser degree. In one of the stories about Jesus from the Gospel of Thomas, his followers said to him, "When will the realm come, the realm of heaven?" Jesus said, "It will not come by looking for it. It will not be a matter of saying, 'Here it is,' or 'Look, there it is.' Rather, the realm of God is spread out upon the earth, but people don't see it." And sometimes we do. Sometimes we get a glimpse. Sometimes we see through a glass darkly, perhaps. Sometimes we see in how it's reflected through the colors of this kaleidoscopic world. Everything we experience as human beings is a play of shadow and light, of presence, of absence, of revelation, of forgetfulness, of turning away and turning towards. And that's okay. It couldn't be any other way. It's just yet another way to experience the mercy of knowing that God is truly the center of our orbits and truly the source of our illumination. And so for that, I give thanks to God. Thanks be to God.